Ladies and gentlemen, Fly has had a virtual date with James Robottom from the Sydney Swans. It's time to talk all things black and white. Morning, all. I hope you're all doing super well. We are this morning talking about James Robottom. We had a tweet from Mitch Cleary yesterday at 5:53 p.m. Collingwood coach Craig McRae last night spoke with Sydney midfielder James Robottom. The Pies are hunting mids, and at 27 years old, Rowbottom would fit well. His preference is to stay, but the last 4 days of the window can throw up curveballs, and Kerno still needs to get done. So you straight away you ask, what is the motivation behind this potential trade happening from a Sydney front? Well, it sounds like they need a bit more of ammunition to get someone like Charlie Kerno, which they probably don't have right now enough of, and they're in a bidding war with Geelong. So there's that, right? But more importantly, we want to know why James Robottom and the Pies. He's a midfielder, relatively young. He's 25. He'll be 26 next year. I'll just confirm that. 26 next year. Not the biggest accumulator by way of stats. What I will highlight, though, is in the midfield group, he's the sixth highest player when it comes to, I've worded that terribly, but the sixth highest player with the most amount of tackles amongst midfielders. So it reads Tom Atkins, Jack Steele, Matt Rowell, Josh Dunkley, Jordan Dawson, James Robottom, and then Ned Long, by the way. So he fits the pressure mantra that we live by at the Collingwood Football Club. But we do have to ask the question, what are we willing to give up for James Robottom, who only averages 16 touches a game? This is very much so Harry Perryman situation. And while role plays are important, you just don't love the idea of becoming enamored by this strategy that you just bring in role players and will be a great side. You still need the superstars, really good players. And I don't know if Rowbottom was going to be good as someone like Clayton Oliver. I'd even argue Jai Simpkin would offer more in the black and white than a James Robottom. But if we want to talk value and what he's worth, we've actually just heard, as of yesterday as well, that Collingwood are trying to move up the draft order this year. So we may trade a future first and a future second to get access into this draft. Now, whether we do that to take somebody in the draft, or we do that to enable us to get Rowbottom and maybe Simpkin perhaps. Because what's James Rowbottom's value worth? You know what? Maybe you can make an argument. His value on the AFL market might be a first rounder in a devalued draft. So a 2026 first round pick or a 2027 first round pick. And we know Collingwood's first round draft picks at this point in time aren't worth much if we are still in the top 8. Teams can gamble against us though, of course. So once again, do I know where I'm placed with this? Look, I'd need to watch more James Robottom to have a real grasp on this situation. Looking at the BNF votes, actually. Oh, well, that's the Brownlow. Okay, sorry. Never mind. I thought maybe we'd get a gauge of where James Robottom finished in Sydney's BNF. Let's have a look. That's important, right? Like, you look at Collingwood's BNF, you look at the Isaac Quaynors, the Harry Perrymans, like, that's always Sydney Swans 2025 best and fairest results. Like, let's see how, and I'm sure, I'm absolutely certain that Sydney rate Rowbottom highly as that role player. One, two, three, four, five, six, eighth in the BNF. So I would. It does seem like we're desperate to bring in midfielders of some caliber right now, because you hear the name Jai Simpkin being thrown around. You hear the name James Robottom. Fly McRae speaking to him via a virtual meeting. I think Rowbottom is in Singapore at the moment on holiday. I'm just trying to. It gets really tricky with these players because this guy is a role player. He doesn't like he doesn't pick. He doesn't accumulate those clearances, and he's not the best kick by foot with the ball in hand. So it's just like, what are we getting with this player? Does it move the needle for the Collingwood Football Club? I would say Jai Simpkin in a new environment would move the needle. I don't know if James Robottom does, but I will always, with this club, with how we've been and where we're at, I will trust their decision. So if it's Rowbottom, it's Rowbottom. If it's Simpkin, it's Simpkin. But I am very curious what we do if we access a draft, a first round draft pick this year. Do we take it to the draft and see what we can get? I would imagine. I mean, I was going to say clubs would gamble on Collingwood falling off a cliff next year. Maybe some would. And they go, all right, let's take your future first. And we'll give you our first round pick, maybe mid teens, maybe something like that. And then that does enable us on the trade table. But you asked the question, would we draft someone now before the draft is completely devalued? And would clubs be willing to work with us and give us their first round pick in 2025? As I've always said, you pay a tax on the present moment. So you generally, going back the other way, is a future first and a future second. But knowing that the draft is compromised due to Tasmania, I'm curious to see and know if it's going to be possible, because they're asking the question, right? So let's go. The last thing I just want to see if there are any real highlight games that we can, and maybe as this rumor grows legs regarding James Robottom, I want to see if there's maybe a game where he was like, where did he have any heat patches? Let's go around. Like last 5 games, yeah. Time on ground. Jeez. 9 touches, 12 touches, 17 touches, 14 touches, 11 touches. He has not had 20 disposals since round 12. And it's all well and good. He stacks up the tackles in double figures sometimes. 14, 15, 11, 9, 9, 9. These are the numbers you get when it comes to his pressure factor. But we just have to be mindful that we don't sell the farm for this guy. But guys, I will defend Rowbottom here. He is not playing anywhere near as much midfield as he would like. He had played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games this season where he had more than 70% midfield time. But beyond that, there hasn't been a lot of opportunity. So those numbers are a little bit, they're a bit untrue when you refer to him as the midfielder. He's been playing as probably a winger / high half forward. I'd have to go back and watch the footage. But yeah, last 5 games, all under 60% midfield time. 10%, 10%, 39%. I mean, I'll just give you the number for the season, and that will give us a better idea, okay? Like, yeah, he had 50% midfield time in 2025, down from 71% in 2024, which was quite a decent year for Rowbottom and the Swans. So I don't know. Let's do a little bit more research. Let's see where this goes, and this sounds like a player who's probably starved of more midfield time, and maybe he can earn that at the Collingwood Football Club. Let me know what your thoughts are, and as always, ladies and gentlemen, go Pies.